we're the Call Guys. I'm David.
And I'm George.
And we are here in this design studio at Capital Kitchen and Bath in Irmo, South Carolina. We have our guests today, Kristen and Gerald Meetze. They are the owners of Capital Kitchen and Bath. Welcome very much.
Thank you. We're excited to be here with you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
The Cole Guys isn't your average real estate podcast.
Our mission is to give buyers and sellers the power of knowledge through their real estate transactions.
We do this by helping first-time homebuyers realize that there are more expenses that come with owning a home than just the loan.
We also understand there are many times move-up buyers and sellers have forgotten the process because it's been so long since their last real estate transaction.
We make the downsizing easy.
Once you get into the habit of working with us, the process becomes so smooth you won't mind to move.
We are also excited to share with you what all the Midlands has to offer.
This episode is brought to you by Dick Dyer Mercedes-Benz, the first Mercedes-Benz in South Carolina.
So to get started, can you give us a little bit of the history of how and when Capital Kitchen Bath got started?
Well, yeah, it was founded in 2004 by Bill Christie and his son Scott, and they started off just predominantly cabinets, doing working for production builders, and then they sold the company in 2009 when his dad got ill, and we took it over, and Scott stayed there with us, and we went on to grow the company. Kind of got away from it. We still do cabinets, but we got into more remodeling.
Yep.
Depression of 2009 and 10, how things were, and 11. So we had to transition into more remodel. Could just live on cabinets alone. So and then things started picking up again. 2012, 13. Still here.
Yep. And so y'all have this location here in Irmo, but you also have a second location that's kind of in transition right now, right?
Yeah, downtown Columbia. We've been on Gervais Street for the last 10 years, but we're in the process of relocating to West Columbia, which is the new hot spot for Columbia now.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot going on in West Columbia. So
Right on Meetze Street.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Super excited about it.
So George and I work in real estate, and we run into clients who buy homes and look to remodel their homes. What do you tell those folks or what would you say to people that want to remodel a home? Where do they begin?
Well, it can become daunting quickly. So I like to kind of start with a slightly more gentle approach. Making a list of your goals is a really, really good place to start. Who is the space primarily for? Who's going to be using the space? Do you have a growing family that'll need to utilize some kitchen countertop area? Starting with your goals and then working into which kind of equipment is a space going to need. What is your design style? Those kinds of things to get started. And then once you kind of nail down what you think you want your project to turn into, or what the final process or the final product will be like, it's kind of hard to get there. So that's why it's nice to partner up with somebody who can walk you through the rest of the design. But
So it's in that beginning stage when people should come and start contacting the remodeling company instead of waiting till later, or should they come to you with an open book about what they want, or do you want them to already have a certain amount in their mind about what they're looking for you to do?
An open book is great, but having an idea. Okay, well, we definitely want to remodel the kitchen, the dining room beside it now needs to look like this. We want to. Those are the kind of simple things overall that we really need that we want to know up front. But as far as the design process, though, the nice thing about Capital Kitchen and Bath is that we are a design build firm. So what that means is that there's a whole team that our client will be working with, from designer to your project manager. There's a whole group of us that kind of work, some on scene and some behind the scenes. We'll walk you through the rest of the design process. It can be a lot of selections to make, and so it's really nice to have a designer on your side that's going to kind of guide you as needed.
But it's all about communicating with your designers. So I recommend I tell people bring in some pictures out of magazines, tear them out, make a little scrapbook, bring that in to kind of give the designer some ideas which way you to steer them. Otherwise, they're going to design what they want, not what you want. So make sure
Awesome. So with, these days, with the explosion of the whole home store business with Lowe's and Home Depot, a lot of people dive into these projects themselves first. what's the advantage of hiring, you guys as the professionals to come in versus let me try and do this on my own?
Well, Lowe's and Home Depot were both, they both sell cabinets, and they attempted to get into the remodeling. They were doing that for a while after the recession, and then about 5 years later, they both quit with it because they realized it was harder than it looks. So, I was glad to hear that. But if you want to go in there and buy the couch from Lowe's or Home Depot, you could do it yourself. But sometimes that's not always going to save you money. Some people think it's going to save them money, and if you go to a box store, they make you pay everything up front too. So if anything comes wrong or damaged, it's a big fight with them. But if you go through somebody like us, it's going to be less painful for you. And time is money, so when you do it yourself, sometimes it takes forever. When you go through us, we try to get in there and knock it out in 4 to 6 weeks.
So getting the project done in 4 to 6 weeks is one thing, but after the pandemic hit, it was a lot harder to get supplies. Is there a timeline for a lot of these supplies yet that you could share with the audience about how long it takes before the project can get started in that phase where the work is being done?
Yeah, it's starting to get back to normal. It's for the last year or year and a half, whatever. We saw 2 cabinet companies that we were working with go out of business, and then one almost went out. He just shut things down, but now he's back. So the lead times, before the pandemic, lead times were 4 to 5 weeks to get cabinet materials, doors and windows, and those are the big ones. Take the longest.
Appliances.
And appliances, and then after the pandemic, I guess that moved to 12 to 14 to 16 weeks. So it didn't really affect our business though, because people still wanted their project done. They were just willing to wait longer to start it, which I think once you got everything figured out and you're ready to start it, it's not a big deal to wait a little bit longer. But then we don't want to start until we have everything here in our warehouse. So we made a mistake before, taking somebody's kitchen out and not having all the cabinets in. So that's a big problem. So we want everything here, and then we pull the trigger and get started, and things usually go better that way. But like I said, it's back to normal now pretty much.
Nice. Well, that's good. I'm sure a lot of people will be glad to hear that when they're thinking like, we want to do this and it's not going to take forever. So, when people start thinking about the remodeling process, of course, money comes to mind. How do you go about conveying to customers what an expected budget would be to do a kitchen or a bathroom or a deck dish, just to kind of help them understand that this is not going to be a cheap project, and convey that so that expectations up front are realistic on their part.
Well, that definitely is a challenge, and remodeling has increased due to the pandemic. Building materials have all increased, and I think once they go up, it's a fat chance on seeing them come back down. Even though the gas prices might have fallen slightly, but no, that being said, is that it is a shock, and it's hard to speak in square foot, price per square foot numbers, which is what a term you hear a lot in new construction, especially. So there are some really good, there's some really good articles out there that describe this. Our designers and sales staff speak a lot about this when they, come into the house for an initial consultation, which, is measure and discuss the scope of the project. From that initial consultation, speaking about scope, once we have a clear scope, because as a general contractor, when we come in to do a kitchen renovation, we're often doing a lot of other type of projects, ones that we wouldn't necessarily do on their own. We could be replacing beams, replacing windows. Oh, hey, let's do the exterior doors while we're at it. So price, until we have an idea of scope, is kind of a difficult item to narrow down. There are some numbers out there, some percentages that the trade associations kind of put together. And price, depending on where the price of your home, you want to keep that in mind, definitely, with the renovation. Overdoing it without understanding that you're going to live there for the next 20 years, you've got to take all of that into consideration when planning the budget also.
But price per square foot ranges from 150 to 250. I mean, it just depends on the size of the project. The bigger the project is, less per square foot it is.
Yep.
So, kitchens can range from 30,000 to 100,000.
Yeah.
It's a huge range. But it's important to get a budget out of the customer. A lot of customers don't want to talk budgets in the beginning. Or they will throw a budget at you and it's too low, and then you say, well, this is more realistic, and then you just got to get on the same wavelength on where your budget needs to be to do the project, and then once we've got that, then we can keep our design in that boundary, and then then once we've worked out all the selections and colors and all that good stuff, then we give a detailed breakdown of a price so they know exactly what they're getting, what they're paying for. That usually works the best.
So during that first consultation, like real estate and the remodeling business a lot of times get a bad rap for just being about the money and the money only. So what should people be looking for when a firm such as Capital and Kitchen Bath goes to their house and gives them that consultation as opposed to others? Is there things that they should be aware of that they can look out to see if they're going to get scammed by a different company if somebody were to come there and not be telling them fully the truth?
Yes, I think there's lots of really, really valuable things to keep in mind. Having a brick and mortar business should be a reassuring value to a client. So
And longevity.
Longevity also. We're coming up on our 20-year anniversary, so we're excited about that next spring. Repeat business and referrals are absolutely huge. Ask your contractor what percentage of your business is repeat referral customers. Ask for a list. Ask for the insurance. You want to make sure whoever you're hiring does have adequate insurance as well as licensing. And there's ways to check all of that, and your contractor should gladly give up the insurance certificate if asked, for it.